Where Kanekis, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So we're going to be doing a new format today. I'm going to be using PowerPoint to present what I believe is quite important for everyone to know and understand about themselves, and it's the fact that money psychology is a spectrum. Let me know what you think about this format. If you end up enjoying it, do let me know in the comments below. Before we get into it, please hit the like button, subscribe as well if you aren't already. Let's get into it. So, a lot of this is inspired by an author called Morgan Housel. I've watched a lot of his interviews on YouTube. I haven't read his book though, The Psychology of Money. It is one that is on my list, but I have watched a lot of his interviews where he talks about the book. So it is inspired in some way by it, not completely. A lot of this is going to be quite opinionated. So do your own due diligence, do your research behind it. Right. So my idea of money psychology being a spectrum is as follows. So from left to right, left being, extremely hoardish, holding on to your money, not spending a thing, trying to not spend as much as you ought to, really, to enjoy life. And on the other end is the other extreme, being completely wasteful, not saving, not investing. So to go through the definitions, first we've got the miser, the hoarder. It's a person who hoards wealth and spends as little money as possible. Pretty much they're in a constant state of scarcity, well, mental scarcity really, even though they do have the funds. They sort of believe that there will be an emergency, or there's always an emergency on the horizon that they will need to have the spare money for. Then you've got the stingy. I'm laughing because I will explain why I'm laughing in a second. So you've got the stingy, typically ungenerous, tight-fisted. To the right of the misers, they do spend, but they usually just spend it on themselves. Then you've got the frugals. They are sparing or economical with regards to money or food. So the frugal and stingy is slightly different. Frugal, they tend to look for value purchases more than the stingy, who think almost everything isn't valuable. Or with the stingy, it's more like, okay, they're not generous with their money. Like I said, they only spend on themselves. With the frugals, they don't really spend on themselves as much. But they do tend to spend on like things that matter to them really, so like family, friends, relationships. Then you've got the generous. The generous, everyone loves the generous. So you've got the generous, showing a readiness to give more of something, especially money, than is strictly necessary or expected. So they're quite free with giving. Very happy to give more than expected. If you ask them for a fiver, like £5, they'll tend to give you like £10 just to help you on your way. So that's the generous. Everyone likes the generous. You've got the frivolous. These are the carefree, superficial people. In terms of money, they spend things that are necessary and often for pleasure and luxury. With the frivolous, it tends to be those who are very wealthy. Money is not an object for them, but it can also be on the other end, people who don't tend to have a lot. These are people you see buying things on credit. In the previous video, I talked about buy now, pay later. If you haven't watched it, you really should watch it. It's a very important video. So yeah, you can be frivolous with or without money. I think for a lot of these, actually, I'll explain later that it's independent on the amount of money in your bank account. Just to finish it off, you've got the wasteful spenders. In terms of money, they spend things on things that provide little to no value or benefit. What's something I can describe as a wasteful purchase? It's quite subjective in terms of wasteful. But to me, if I had to think of a wasteful purchase, it would probably be on someone who's taken 2 holidays a year, but they feel the need to take 6. The 6th, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th holiday would probably be wasteful. That's money that they could have probably invested. So that's just me personally. So as you can see, there are positives and negatives to both sides. Tending to the left towards from frugal to miser, you've got the negative that social life does take a hit. Typically because you're not going out as much, you're not partying as much. If people are asking you for money, you don't tend to give it to them. so they become less trusting, less reliable. Like you become less reliable. They trust you less. They rely on you less. But the good thing is that you will have the availability of funds when it's needed. So if you ever need to make a rainy day purchase, you will have the funds available. However, your social life does take a hit. So it's a bit of a give or take in that regard. From generous to wasteful, you've got diminishing finances. That's if you're spending a lot more than you're bringing in. Your finances are going down each month. However, social life is great, you know? You're going out, you're living a big, partying, traveling. So you're living very much for the now, not so much for the future. So I think that's how we can term it as well. On the left, you've got people who've got like a very long time horizon. Those from generous to wasteful, that's just very short. It's immediate impulse purchases, really. I think that's probably the best way for me to describe it. So where do I stand on this scale, on this spectrum? For me, I'm more in the frugal category. However, the the reason I was laughing when I was talking about stingy was because the girls I've dated will probably put me in the stingy category, but that's always after they've benefited from like the dates and stuff. So that's always when it's over. But yeah, friends, family, they will probably place me in the frugal side as well. I prefer to save and invest and then spend my money instead of spending first and then, you know, investing the rest. I know some people don't even invest at all, but that's that's for another day. But yeah, that's typically where I sit. However, the sweet spot where you really want to be, that's around the generous. You definitely want to be in the generous area. Maybe slightly to the left of generous, because some people can give too much. That's typically the people pleasers, people who can't quite say no to a request. You definitely want to be towards the left of generous, just slightly though, but that is the sweet spot. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but I do think that is what we should all aspire to be. Even I have some work to do in that regard. So, I mean, you don't have to let me know in the comments where you sit on this scale if you're uncomfortable with it, but I will be quite interested to find out what you think. So I do hope you enjoy this video. Share it out with people you believe will profit from it and will enjoy the content. Please hit the like button, subscribe as well. And yeah, let me know if you like this format. I did enjoy putting a PowerPoint slide together. It just makes it much easier instead of going through the web browser. So do let me know what you think as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.